Morning. Welcome to learning.com keyboarding. This is session 20, I believe. Let's see, what session is this? This is session 20, and so I'd like to welcome you. We're going to begin now. This is learning.com's keyboarding, in case you might be in the wrong session. My name is Sherry Brott, been with learning.com for about 11 years as a trainer, and I am really looking forward to sharing our keyboarding options for you today. During this next hour, we're going to be talking a little bit about keyboarding. I'm going to show you our keyboarding curriculum in learning.com. We're going to look in a lot of detail at our adaptive keyboarding for grades 3 through 12. We're going to learn how to assign curriculum, how to monitor student progress, and then I will show you the resources that we have available for you as you might be leading instruction for your students in keyboarding. Learning.com has been in Texas for about over 20 years. We are in 76 counties across Texas. That's about 30% of the counties in Texas. We are working with 12,000 teachers in 1,800 different schools, and there's no telling how many students are using our learning.com product. And learning.com provides a digital literacy curriculum, online digital literacy curriculum to students across the state. That curriculum is very extensive, and we're going to be looking at one part of that curriculum, which is our keyboarding during this hour. So I would like for y'all just to look at that statement right in front of you, read it, and think about what it is saying. And then in the chat, if you wouldn't mind letting me know if you agree with this statement or if you have any other ideas. What do you think about this statement? You can add your comments in the chat. Okay, so what this statement is telling us is that we want students to be able to keyboard just fast enough so that whenever they're entering their thoughts, they're not going to be disrupting their thinking. This is especially true with our online assessments now. So many assessments are online. Thank you, RB, for answering. We want them to be able to put their thoughts down without having to worry about the typing part. So we want them to keyboard just fast enough to not disrupt their thinking in this process. So with that in mind, thinking about that statement that you just read, which of these three do you think that we should focus on first as we are delivering keyboarding instruction? You can also add that to the chat as well. And yes, I agree. Teaching students how to type it's difficult, especially when they're so used to phones and they're used to tablets. Teaching them the how to keyboard on a laptop or a computer is difficult. So I have someone believes accuracy, someone believes technique, someone else believes technique. So I'm hoping that those of you who are not adding to the chat at least have in mind, but how many of you, think technique is the most important? Because that is what we view as the most important. What we should focus on first is technique. We want students to use the proper keyboarding technique, have their hands. Now, granted, we know that students are going to, that they can sometimes, some of them can type quite quickly with one or two fingers, but when they're doing that, they're having to look at the keyboard. And eventually we want them to work up to where they're not having to work at the keyboard. Yes, so technique is going to be our most important, followed by accuracy, and then finally speed. Now, what would you think the students would like to focus on first? What do you think they think is the most important? Technique, accuracy, or speed? And I think probably if you've been working with students, you know that kids they're worried about speed. Yes, I'm seeing a lot of responses. They want speed. And our problem is that you're probably facing is even when we teach students the correct technique, the minute we turn our backs, they're going to revert back to what they know that's going to help them put down words as fast as possible. And they want to be the fastest in the class. They want to, and if they can do it with 4 fingers, 2 on each hand, then they're going to do that. But it's still, we need to find ways to share with them that keyboarding with the correct technique is going to be valuable to them and more valuable in the long run. And they will eventually, just like learning to ride a bicycle, when they learned to ride a bicycle, they had to think about what they were doing. But there was a correct way to ride a bicycle, and they got to where they can ride it without even thinking. And we want them to learn that anything that is worth doing, like keyboarding, is worth learning the correct technique, and that just going fast is not as desirable. So with that said, we're going to look at learning.com's curriculum today. We have, we start from kindergarten and we go all the way through grade 12. In kindergarten and grade 1, we're going to have students locating letters. They're going to learn through phonics-based lessons where the letters are on the keyboard. We're going to, it's going to reinforce their reading skills as well. That's grades K through 1. Beginning at grades 2 and through grades 5, we have lessons that are designed to help the students not only locate the keys, but we want them to use the correct ergonomics, sit up straight, put their hands on the keyboard, use the correct hand position, use the keys. We're going to teach them the rows, the different rows, and how to type on those different rows. And then we're going to give them a lot of practice in doing that. So there's going to be some lessons that actually teach them the different rows, followed by a lot of practice on the keys that they just learned in isolation. Then, beginning at grade 3, beginning at grade 3 and going through grade 12, we have a product called adaptive keyboarding. And this is instruction that is, it's instruction and practice that is based on the individual student's needs. They will do a diagnostic test, then that diagnostic test is going to determine the practices that they're going to receive, and it will change. It's dynamic, so the lessons are going to change as they improve and as they gain in speed and words, when words per minute and accuracy. Those lessons are going to change for students, so they will be individual. And we're going to be looking at that. Adaptive keyboarding. We'll be going to the library. We'll be looking at all of the the beginning lessons through the intermediate lessons with the learning the rows, then into the adaptive keyboarding that we're going to look at in more detail today. So I am going to, I'm going back and forth between being live into a class in my demo district that I use for training, and be going back and forth between the presentation and here. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to show you how to find these lessons in the learning.com library. So I'm in the presentation here. I'm going to bring up. So I am I've logged into a demo account. When you log in to your classes in learning.com, you will see your school followed by the classes that have been assigned to you. This is a demo district for me, so I'm going to view this 2024 gradebook demo class and show you that there are some lessons. These are typical lessons for the 2nd through 5th grade. So, and then, this is the grade book. So you will see, I'm going to show you some typical lessons, and then we'll actually go to the adaptive keyboarding at the end. So right now, to show you we're in the library, you can get to the library here with the library button. And this is that library button that, or the library that I showed you in the slide presentation. In the library, we're going to, there's a couple of ways that you can find our keyboarding. You can search by keyword. Also, new this year, we have some Texas blended learning paths, and you can select them by grade. I'm going to choose grade 3 right now. And so we have some learning paths, and in these learning paths, all of these learning paths, we do have keyboarding lessons already built in, and I'll just show you where you can find them there. So in the library for 3rd grade, beginning at lesson, in this 3rd grade path, beginning at lesson 39, 3rd graders will be given an introductory or an instructional activity on the home row. Then they're going to be given 5 or 6 guided practices where they will practice those letters in isolation, 2 at a time. Then they will be given instruction in the upper row, followed by guided practices, the lower row, the shift key. So this is 3rd grade. And then after those lessons, they will have the adaptive keyboarding that's available for them. In the grade 7 blended learning path, we just look at it, grade 7, actually 6, 7, and 8 are very similar. So if I look at the blended learning path for 7th grade and I scroll down, I will find that it is presumed that the students had all of those introductory lessons at grades 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then when they get to middle school, they will not have those introductory lessons or those instructional lessons and practices. They will go, there is one lesson, a video about just to review the importance of keyboarding for them. And then we have our adaptive keyboarding middle school, Urban Keyboarding Explorer for middle school. So they do not need at grades 6, 7, and 8 all of those lessons that they had access to in grades 2 through 5. So that is one way. I'm going to go back to my library home right now and show you. We're going to spend some time right here in the digital topics, our digital literacy topics. And one of our topics is keyboarding. So I will go ahead and click on keyboarding. And in keyboarding, you'll see also that you can go to the different grade levels and assign keyboarding that way. Should you decide not to use the blended learning paths and you just want to go straight to keyboarding, you can find the lessons there. And again, at kindergarten and 1st grade, kindergarten has, there's 14 lessons. They're taught the individual rows, well, not rows, they're taught in groups of 5 letters. They're identifying those letters. They're improving, going through the reading skills. It's phonics-based. And then they'll be talking about locating and typing numbers, using the cursor, the space bar, and the backspace and enter. And that's in kindergarten. And 1st grade is much like that. 1st grade has 2 less, so that they're getting the same. And then we've added some practice games, the keyboard garden and block party. And I'll just show you very briefly the keyboard garden game that is a practice game to help students find keys. And so I clicked on the lesson and I'm going to launch it here. So this is the keyboard garden. It's one of the games that we have made available to students so that they can practice keyboarding skills. And I'll be showing you a couple of other games as we go on. So this is coming up. They're going to start.
Hello, friend. Welcome to Keyboard Garden. Would you like to hear how to play? Skip. Yeah, skip.
And I'll just go ahead and skip. They can listen to how to play.
Let's get rolling. To start, select a level. Easy, medium, or hard. Easy.
So they're identifying letters. Now they're going to do a V, P, and they're having to use their keyboard. So this is a game that they can play. And I won't go ahead.
Close. Well done. You grew a carrot.
So that is a game where our
Wow,
kindergartners or first grade, second grade can practice finding letters on the keyboard. And with our new TATs, we want to teach them to use the correct, use the fingers while they're doing that if we can. It's hard. Sometimes they cannot even, their hands are too small for the keyboard. But we do want to encourage even our kindergartners and our first graders to try to use correct fingers. Okay, then I'm going to go back to second grade, which I said starting in second grade, we start giving them some formal instruction on the different rows, the home row, the number row, the lower row. And you'll see that that instruction is here. So they have all of these lessons, and I'll just go ahead and show you an example of one of these instructional lessons that are interactive, and launch that. And this is the keyboarding home row. And since I'm in the library, I'll be able to fast forward through this to see what the students will be expected.
Everyone should know how to use a keyboard, including you. Keyboarding is the basic way you can use a computer to communicate. To get started, sit up straight, plant your feet on the...
So it's telling them, to sit up straight, all the ergonomics that they need to know. I'm going to go and fast forward.
Success. Your home base.
It's going to be talking and showing them the row.
The middle row of letters, and it has 2 touch keys. F is the touch key for the left hand, and J is the touch key for the right hand. A touch key has a small bump or line on it that you can feel. By feeling...
So I'm going to go on and fast forward.
Now
and so
typing
they're going to be told.
Use finger 1 on each hand to type what you see on screen. Use your thumb to press the space bar.
So they're given instruction on the home row key in there, and then they're given some opportunities to practice that. So I'll go ahead and close that. So that is a typical lesson for students when they are learning the home row keys, the number rows, the lower row, the upper row. So that is in second grade. That's when we provide that instruction beginning in second grade. Then going on to third grade, we're going to find that we do continue with those instructional lessons. So there is that keyboarding home row again in the third grade learning path. However, now we have added opportunities for them to practice the home row F and J keys, then the D, K, J, and F keys, then the S and L, the A. So they're given guided practices to practice the letters that they learned in the lesson above. Then following those guided practices, they'll go to another home row. This is going to be they're reviewing the home row. Then they're going to the upper row, and then followed by guided practices for the upper row. Then, so they're going to go through each of the rows and have some guided practices. Now, if you find that you have additional time or an additional need for more guided practices, we do have those in the third grade curriculum. There are a number of different guided practices available for the third graders. Then back to keyboarding, and if I go to the fourth grade, you'll see that they also have the home rows, and they're still practicing just like they did in third grade. So we're encouraging them to to learn, and you may have students that have never learned, that weren't there the year before. So they're going to get these lessons and practice. Now, I do want to point out that once you're in third grade and the adaptive keyboarding is down here, you need to encourage the students and to finish all of these lessons above before they start adaptive keyboarding. Adaptive keyboarding is going to be shown in the arcade part of their student interface, which I'll show you in a minute. And when if they see that in there, they may very well start their adaptive keyboarding before they've done the lessons. If you see students in adaptive keyboarding before they have finished the keyboarding lessons in their learning sequences, their paths, then you will need to point them back to the learning paths and make sure that they do those lessons before they do adaptive keyboarding. Now I'm going to go back and show you that I'll just go to 6th grade or 7th grade like I did before. In 7th grade, we still have the adaptive keyboarding. It's first, but if you, we also have these guided practices that can be assigned to 7th graders that need some individual, practice on individual letters. So that is our library. And for right now, I'm going to show you what I'm going to go to. I'm going to show you what the students see in the guided practices. So let me go back here. And in the guided practices, I'll just go take one from the 3rd grade right here. The guided practices are where they're going to practice in isolation. Letters in isolation. So it's like this. Students, when they're in this student mode, I'll go ahead and go to student mode right here. They have settings that they can change while they're in the guided practices. They can turn sounds off, and I do have mine off right now because for me it's difficult, and you don't want a room of 20 kids with sounds going on. They can also change settings for their keyboard, and they can have their keyboarding color. They can change the letter sizes that show up while they're typing. They can turn on hands, or they can turn off the hands. And then here, which is important for our younger students, which may be on Chromebooks that have the lowercase letters on the keyboard, they have the option of making the letters on the keyboard they're seeing in lowercase or uppercase. And I'll just leave it on uppercase for right now. But that is no longer an issue. A lot of Chromebooks, especially at the lower grades, they will have the keys on the keyboard in lowercase, and this is where students can change their lessons to reflect that. So I'm going to go back to practice, and all they're going to do, and there is sound, but I have it turned off, and they're going to practice, and these practices are automatically scored, and grades are sent to the grade book. So I'll just go ahead and get out of that. I'll log that student out. I'm going to go back to it. Back in the teacher mode, let's see, student mode. Then if I was in the student mode, if I return back to the teacher mode, I lose that practice there, but I just wanted to show you that. Okay, so I'm back in the library. That's a typical guided practice. Now, I'm going to take you back to the PowerPoint presentation, and let's review what we just learned. So we learned that in the library, you can choose a learning path to find keyboarding activities by grade level. Each of those learning paths are specific to the grade levels. Then we also found that you can use the keyboarding tile under Browse by Topic and find keyboarding lessons there. We also looked at the Keyboard Garden. We do have other games available. We have Spelling Star. Spelling Star, in that game, students are able to practice the hand and eye coordination and using the mouse or the trackpad to move the on-screen pointer. Keyboard Gardening, which I showed you, that's designed as a practice for K through 2 students that they just need a little extra practice with their keyboarding in a fun and engaging way. And then we have Block Party, in which students are able to practice ergonomically correct keyboarding techniques and hand positions. So those are all in the library in the different grade level paths. Once a student has reached the game on their learning path, the game will remain unlocked, providing the students an opportunity to practice. Now, what does that mean? So I'm going to log in as a student right now very quickly. Let me log in as a student. And this is just a demo student of mine that's in a lot of different classes. But the learning path for this, for a 3rd through 5th grade student, is a park set in a park setting with age appropriate avatars. And then you'll see they had in this particular learning path, this was a demo, very few, but you'll see that the adaptive keyboarding is on a signpost that they will find in the arcade. And that's what I was talking about earlier. If you ever see the students in the adaptive keyboarding working on that before they have completed all of their preliminary keyboarding lessons, then you need to encourage them to go back and finish those right there. So the games, I do have a game in this K through 2 class, and the K through 2 students, their learning paths are in a forest with some cute little animals as avatars. And whenever they reach now this was an open session, so they're there, but like if these are locked, and once they reach the signpost that a game that is a signpost is the link for a game, once they've reached that signpost, that was keyboarding garden right there. I'll just go and close it up. And then block party is, I did not show you block party a minute ago. So in block party, they're going to be using the keyboard and we want them to use the correct fingerings and the correct ergonomics, and they are able to type words, and it's going to give them all the instructions here. So I'll go and close that. But once they've reached these signposts on their learning path, and by the way, they do receive 1 star for each time that for each day that they access the arcade, a game in the arcade. But once they reach those activities on the learning path, then they will be in the arcade, and they can then go to the arcade at any time and play those games again. They don't have to go to the learning path. They can find them in the arcade. So I will go ahead and close that, minimize that. So we do have those games that are available for students. We went over the guided practices. I showed you where they are in the library, and that they are meant to give students practice on they're short and specific to 2 letters or 4 letters on the row that they just got through learning. And now we're going to talk about, go into adaptive keyboarding. And so our sequence is, just remember as a review, the kindergarten and 1st grade students are going to learn to identify where the letters are on the keyboard. In grades 2, they're going to have some specific lessons that will teach them the home row, the number row, the different keys. Then in grade 3, they're going to receive that instruction again, but it's going to be followed by guided practices where they practice the letters in isolation. Then in grade 4, same thing. They're going to have those lessons, and they'll be reviewing those lessons, followed by guided practices. In grade 5, you're going to see the adaptive keyboarding at the top, but there's still guided practices to assign to grades 5, 6, 7, and 8. But at grade 3, we're going to find that adaptive keyboarding. And I'll go back here again and show you that in the library for the keyboarding, all of these grades have keyboarding, the adaptive keyboarding, someplace in that learning path. In 5th grade, 4th grade and 5th grade, it starts at the top, but we also do have those guided practices available for them. Now, while I'm here in the adaptive key in the 5th grade sequence, I'm going to access the adaptive keyboarding here, and I'm going to go through adaptive keyboarding. This is fairly quick. It's not. We're not going to be able to spend with a session like this, and with as many of you that are here, and my inability to really communicate with you and know who you are. Most of this is going to be a demonstration, but I want to encourage every single one of you that whenever you are when you get a chance, if you're using learning.com with your classes, if you, I don't know your positions or your subjects that you teach, but if you are using learning.com, I want to encourage you to go to the library and investigate all of these, explore the library for all of these lessons that are available, in particular, the adaptive keyboarding, because this is going to get into more individualized instruction for the students, but it also gives you an opportunity to work through the adaptive keyboarding program as well, so that you know how to present it and show the students. Now, before I go on, I had a quick thought that I just want to reiterate, because I'll probably say this several times. I've already alluded to the fact that our students, as soon as you turn your back to them, they will probably, want to get, they don't want to learn the correct technique. They want to use whatever technique they can use to type the fastest. So a lot of monitoring needs to be done by the teachers. They need to know that you are going around the room, that you are watching them, and that you are expecting them to use the proper technique. There's nothing we can do about what they do at home, what they do in any other place. But when they're in our class and it's our responsibility to teach them keyboarding, then we need to actively monitor them to make sure that they are developing that correct technique. And that's what it is. If we leave them to their own devices, they will not use the correct technique. So now back to adaptive keyboarding. You can find it anywhere. You can find it in the learning paths. You can find it under the tiles. And you can also find it just by typing in the keyword adaptive, and it will take you to all of our adaptive our adaptive lessons, adaptive keyboarding lessons. Adaptive keyboarding, and I will show you the different ones that we have at the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade level. Our adaptive keyboarding is called the Great Keyboarding Adventure. At the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade level, it is called the Urban Explorer. So I'll just go back here and show you that it's the Urban Keyboarding Explorer. They look like the exact same program. It's just that in the Urban Keyboarding Explorer, the vocabulary and the content, the topics and the content are more appropriate for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And so it really, even if you have a 4th grader that came from another school and they have wonderful keyboarding skills, and you think that they could benefit from Urban Keyboarding Explorer, I would refrain from moving them up because of the content level. They're still, since it's adaptive keyboarding, that program will adapt to their skill level, and they will be given appropriate challenges and practices so that they can always increase their speed. So either one, I'll go back to the 5th grade. Sometimes I think we tend to have more. We have more elementary and intermediate teachers that are responsible for keyboarding, and we want to make sure that you get in those keyboarding early lessons. But we're just going to go back to 5th grade and click on the adaptive keyboarding and show you what to expect. And then I'm going to go into a demo class and show you how to pull reports for this. So in the adaptive keyboarding, I'm going to click on it, and this is one of our types of curriculum that has a dashboard. So when I launch it this time, I'm not going to be taken directly to the student view. It's going to take me to my dashboard, but since I'm in the library, and this will be the same case for you when if you assign it to your students, but they have not begun working in it yet, it will tell you that once the students begin typing, then you can come back here and check their progress. And that will be apparent when I show you this demo class in a few minutes. So we will revisit this keyboard in a few minutes in a live view. But you'll see that I'm on the dashboard. I also want to point out, though, all of these other features that are available to you. So in reports, you are able to pull reports. This will make more sense to you when I'm demonstrating from a live class that does have student data in it. I want to go over to settings because this is something you're going to particularly want to look at if you assign adaptive keyboarding to your students. These are the defaults. The default target goal is 90% accuracy and 15% and 15 words per minute. I'm going to show you in our resources a list that of suggested accuracy and words per minute settings that you can change to based on your class. So you have the ability to change these for the entire class as well as any individual students. Now, I don't have any individual students right now to change, but you can choose a student, and that I'll also make that apparent when I'm in a live, but you can change these target goals. For instance, that student I mentioned earlier that might come to you from another district and they've got incredible keyboarding skills. You could change their accuracy in words per minute to reflect a higher goal for them. Or if you've got special needs students that you find do not have the manual dexterity to type at 90% accuracy or 15 words per minute, you can lower those goals per student so that they can move on. The game time, there are 4 games in the program, but the default is that the students must practice for 30 minutes before they are allowed 6 minutes of game time. But you can change this up depending on your students. But your class, you might want to change the goal to 15 minutes of practice and they get 10 minutes of game time. You know your students better, so you can make an appropriate choice there. But let's say that you've got a student that needs, that student that is able to, that practices at all time. You could actually give them less practice time or more practice time if you have a student that is only, they really aren't trying, and you can give them more practice time before they reach game time so that they're not focused only on game time. The reading level, the grade level is the reading level of the content. And you are able to change this based on your class. So if you've got a class of students that are reading at 6th grade level, you can choose a 6th, even if you are a 4th grade teacher. You can also change this by student. So if you have a student that it has difficulty with reading, you can drop down their grade level on reading so that they're getting the appropriate reading level in their program. And then you can, the assessment time limit, I'm going to show you in a few minutes how everyone starts out with a diagnostic assessment. It's the quick brown fox paragraph that every single key on the keyboard is going to be used. All the number keys, all the special sign keys, the special keys are going to be used. And that is set for 3 minutes at the elementary level, 5 minutes at the middle school level. And you have the option of lowering or increasing that based on your students. I would not make it less than 2 because this is adaptive and the program needs the students to type long enough so that it can determine their skill level, their problematic keys, and assign appropriate practices to them. Then you can reset at any time here. So that was in the settings. On the resources tab up here, we have that keyboarding goals by grade. You'll see a number of others, a printable keyboard. You can send letters home to parents here, but this keyboarding by goals by grade is going to open up in a new window, a new tab, and there are our keyboarding goals by grade that you can use as a suggestion. These are not set in stone. You can set your keyboard and words, your accuracy and words per minute goals according to what you think your students need. All right, so let me close this tab. And now I'm going to go into student mode. And this is really important because when you're in your library or you've assigned it to your students, anywhere you click on that link for adaptive keyboarding, you can go to the student mode and then you can start working on it. Now, I've already started it, So that's just a reminder to you that if you start this, it's going to keep track of your progress. So I would suggest that all of you that are assigning adaptive keyboarding at least go through it for, 20 or 30 minutes, a total of 20, 30 minutes, so that you're familiar with the different kinds of practices that the students will receive. In this particular one, the students, I am at the point where I am practicing my muscle memory for my WTC and Zone 2, because in my diagnostic test, it determined that those were my most problematic letters. And my zone, that was my most problematic zone. So these practices, the muscle memory is going to give the students an opportunity to, get their hands used to using the correct keys, the correct fingers on the keys. It's the word challenges are going to make words, and they're going to type words that use those most problematic letters. And the zone challenge is going to give them practice in the zone that gave them the most trouble. And then they'll go on. So I just want to encourage you, whenever you do get into the library, and this, when you first log in and you go to the student preview, the student mode, then you're going to get a reminder to sit up straight, to put your hands on the keyboard and press the space key to start. Then it's going to give you that diagnostic test, and you will probably finish it very quickly. And based on that diagnostic test, then the program is going to assign you some practice exercises like this. Now, these practice exercises are followed by additional story challenges that are timed. And those time challenges are practice again. And once the student finishes those story challenges, they will be given some more muscle memory, word challenge, and zone challenges. So do you see how it adapts to the students' ability and to their performance on their practices and their diagnostic test? They will, every 60 minutes, they're going to receive a new diagnostic test. And then that new diagnostic test is going to give new lessons for them. So that's why it's so important for us to watch the students when they are keyboarding. If you have them keyboarding 10 minutes a day, you don't want them to be keyboarding wrong as soon as you turn your back. We want accurate, we want lessons that are designed for the students based on some real data, and not using, two fingers and one finger. So I'm going to return back to the teacher mode here. And at this point, I'm going to take a look at the chat. If you have any questions about what I've talked about so far, would you put a question in the chat? If you do have any questions, I am actually going to move to my PowerPoint presentation again. Let me look at the chat. Anyone have any questions about what I have shown you so far? Any questions about where to find it in the library, how to access it? Okay, so I will go on. And what we did was I started showing you adaptive keyboarding that gives the students direct instructions. Sorry, my mouse is very touchy. I need to stay off of it. It gives direct instruction and practice. We do have games, and we have ways they can apply what they've learned. Each theme, each grade band has a different theme. The Great Keyboarding Adventures for grades 3 through 5. The Urban Keyboarding Exploration is 6 through 8. And even our 9th through 12th graders have their own. It's Archaeological Expedition 9 through 12, and it is appropriate for 9 through 12. It looks a little different. It works a little bit different. It's more appropriate for those high school students who are in keyboarding classes. We looked at grade 3 through 12, and that this is a guided practice. This is one of the practices. They have muscle memory, word challenge, and zone challenge questions. They have to be in these practices for 15 minutes, and they choose which one they want to do. But they have to be in them for 15 minutes or until they reach 90% accuracy. Once they have reached 90% accuracy, or they've been practicing for 15 minutes, then they are going to go on to story challenges. And the story challenges are right down here. There are 2 story challenges that follow those 3 practices. They are timed, and the students will type for a certain amount of time. When they've done both of them, they will get a new set of, man, my mouse is touchy. They will get a new set of practices followed by story challenges. And this is going to adapt to the students' increased skill. Like I said, they can turn off the animated hands. They can choose from the 3 different exercises that they want to do. And the initial diagnostic test was given them, which prescribes those practices. This is a close-up of story challenge. So this one's called Zed's Quiz, or no, Pip Pop. This is Pip Pop. And they're going to type for a certain amount of time, and then they will be going back to the practices that they can choose from. So how do we bring keyboarding into the classroom? We're going to come back to this in a few minutes. So, but while I am getting into my demo class, I would like for you to be just looking at that and thinking about how you could bring keyboarding into your classroom. Just remembering those points of focusing on technique, and then accuracy, then speed. We recommend 10 to 15 minutes per week practicing, and we want to make it fun. And a lot of times the students just really get a kick out of seeing their teacher keyboard very quickly, and it encourages them to try. We can also, there's a number of ways that we can make it fun by having contests, and you let your imagination run wild on how you can make keyboarding fun in your class to encourage those students to learn that correct technique. All right, I'm going to go back to my class. That's not that one. So I was in my class. I had navigated to the adaptive keyboarding, and I showed you all of the keys up here. And I just want to remind you that you will not see student work until your classes have begun work. And then as you do, the students this will be populated with class data and student data. So now that opened up in a separate tab, so I'm going to close it. And I am going to go back to, let's see, I need to put that. Okay, go back. I thought I closed out of something I didn't want to close out of. All right, so now we're back in the library, and I want to show you a class that does have data. So I'm in my class. I'm going to go to my classes, and I'm looking at this particular gradebook demo. So there's all sorts of items in here, but I wanted you to see that on those basic keyboarding rows, where they're teaching the rows, they are scored. The students have to perform tasks, and they're going to be given a score based on their performance on those tasks. And so here's a student, Ernest, that he might have not been able to do his task right off the bat, and so he got credit for 5 out of 7 tasks in that keyboarding home row lesson. The next one over that you see, these are guided practices. And so guided practices are also auto-scored, and they're going to show up in the gradebook. And this is going to show you how well the students did on those guided practices based on their errors that they made during those guided practices. So now we're going to go to the adaptive keyboarding, and you'll see that this opens up in dashboard. It doesn't automatically put grades in the learning.com gradebook. You have to access the dashboard in order to see how the students are doing. So it's going to ask you to review. You can review each individual student. So if I wanted to see how Ernest was doing, then I could just click and it would take me directly to his page. But I'm going to go to the entire dashboard first. So here I'm going to click on the title at the top of the column and launch my item dashboard. And remember when I showed you in the library, there were no students? It's now going to populate. I actually have to change this date. I'm sorry. I have to change this date because this is an older grade book. So I'm going to, but yours will be the current year. So when your students start working, you will see the current year. It's just that I have to change my date range. So there were 7 students in this class, and you can see that just off the bat, a quick view of my students' progress. There's a key. So I have 5 students working below level, 1 that is proficient, and 1 that is above. Now, if you have 25 students in your class, these columns will not be this large, but you still might need to scroll over to see all of your students. Then you can see a graph for their average words per minute, and all of them right now are at above average. You have to have the students really don't show up on this chart until they've practiced 10 minutes, and none of these demo students have done that, so you're not seeing data right there, but you will whenever your students are in. Now, that was my class data, and I can go to my student data right here. Taking a little bit of time. Not sure why. But in the student data, it's going to list those 7 students that are in the class, and I will see there's an example. So here I'm looking at Ernest. He's 38 words per minute, 79% accuracy. Now these demo students were sometimes months apart whenever we pulled it up. So don't worry about that. It's going to show them their most problematic letters. It's going to show them the letters they still need practice on and the letters that they did very well on, both lowercase and uppercase. And at the bottom of the student page, it's going to show you the scores that they made on their initial diagnostic test. Now, like I said, every 60 minutes of practice, they're going to get another diagnostic test, and those scores will show up. So depending on how often they work in the program, they could have several subsequent diagnostic tests showing under the assessment stats. All right, so that is just a quick view of class and student. I do want to show you now that I do in the settings over here, now that I am in a class with students in it, I can choose a student. Let's say Ernest really does have trouble with his manual dexterity or whatever. So I can change by student, and I can change his reading level. I can change his game time, his accuracy and words per minute goals, and etc. by student as well as the class. Now I want to go to reports because in this class I do have enough data to pull up some reports. And I've actually already done that. So for a class report, it's going to export it as a CSV file, an Excel spreadsheet, and it's going to look like this. I'll just go ahead and show you. I didn't want to use your time. So it brings up a spreadsheet, and I enlarged it for you so you could see, but it has the school name, the student ID, the student's name, their grade level, the percent, no, wrong one, sorry. I pulled up the wrong one. I need to get rid of that. No, I don't want to do that. Pull that down. I don't want that one. I want this one, adaptive keyboarding. In the adaptive keyboarding class report, it's going to tell you the student, the class they're in, the teacher, the school, the district, and then their grade level, their total time that they worked in the program, their total number of exercises they completed, and the unique exercises. So this is telling me that they did some of those exercises more than once. It's going to give that initial words per minute and initial accuracy based on that first initial diagnostic test. Then as they go on and they've practiced over 60 minutes, they'll have another diagnostic test, and it will give their most recent scores, and it will compute the amount of change, their percent of change for their words per minute and their accuracy here. So that is a class report. If you have to show anyone that the students are working in it and how they're, show how they're doing. So the next report is a student report. And I like the student reports because they're front and back, they're 2 pages long, and you've already seen it, you're going to recognize it, but their student report is a PDF. And I'm going to have to click it right here to open it up. It's a PDF. So each student, so Mary, is a 2-page report that they can see on their dashboard, that you can see on your dashboard. But what I did is I selected all of the students and I printed them all together in one document. And then I would print front to back so that you've got a 1-page report that you can send home to parents, or put them in progress reports. You can use them in IEPs if the student has a keyboarding IEP. So you've got these reports that are available to you. And that is simply by choosing the date range. I had to lower my year. I had to go to 2021, and then you click the export button, and you would just select all if you wanted every student for that report. So let me look at does anyone have any questions about what I've shown you today? We've gone through, let me get back to the presentation. We're just about finished. So we went through the student experience. They can access it on their learning path or through the arcade. We looked at the student dashboard that they can see that I didn't show you this, but they can see their statistics after each practice. They earn badges after every 60 minutes of practice. We looked at the game time and how you can change the default for the game time. We looked at the student tools that they can use. And then we went into the library. I showed you where you can search for adaptive keyboarding. And then we looked at how you can monitor the gradebook. I did not mention the TechQuest gradebook, but if your classes are using TechQuest, adaptive keyboarding is in the TechQuest sequences, but you do not have access to all those reports I just showed you. All you will get is an average, a dynamic average that will change, and it's the average of all of the practices and diagnostic tests that the students have done to that point. So this will change. We looked at the class view. We looked at the suggested keyboarding goals, at the adaptive keyboarding teacher dashboard. And in the online training center, which is at the top of your teacher management system, you can visit the online training center and go to the Tech Apps for Texas module in the self-paced learning, and you can explore the curriculums and get more information on our keyboarding there. It is in the Tech Apps Course 2. You will find it in the adaptive keyboarding. In the lesson content, you will be able to see that there. So if you have any questions, please put them in the chat, and I will try to address them, but it's just about time to go. So with that, we also have a support tab that you can contact. I don't have time to show you that, but when you're logged into the Teacher Center, you will see a support tab here. You can click on the support tab and you can initiate a chat with them if you're having any problems at all. And I don't believe I need this training survey, but if you would like to use your phone, this would be a training survey for me, not for your district. You may actually have surveys that you're going to be doing for your district. I do not know that. If you would like to provide me any feedback, you're welcome to on this, and I will leave that up. And with that, I would just like to tell you thank you, and I hope that you have a great rest of the day in training. I have 2 more sessions to deliver. I hope to see some of you back in those sessions. So with that, have a great day, and I will say say goodbye. Thank you for